Hello, Chef Marcus Guiliano here, and I'm your chef on a mission. Today's mission is business, chef apprentices. I'm going to answer a comment on my YouTube channel. I love comments from aspiring chefs, young apprentices, people that want to get into the business. That's why I make these videos. Some of you have seen my Dark Side of Partnership series. I have a couple more videos to add to that. I just want to basically educate people so they don't make the same mistakes that I did. And I've appreciated when people have told me their mistakes so I can avoid them. So I just feel like I have a story to tell, and I have some education to offer. So if you're one of those people that fall into this video, then awesome. Comment on here from Hugo G. Hello, Marcus. I'm a longtime subscriber of yours and an inspiring chef. Unfortunately, I have not yet enrolled in culinary school and have some questions regarding the business and the process of becoming one. First off, is it absolutely necessary to go to culinary school? If so, what classes do you recommend and for how long? Okay, great question, Hugo, and I've answered this before on some of my videos. I don't think it's necessary at all to go to culinary school. You don't need to. Some of the worst chefs out there have gone to culinary school and they've paid a lot of money. Some of the best chefs out there have not gone to culinary school. Some of the best chefs out there have gone to culinary school. So there's no law, there's no universal law, there's no law that says if you don't go to culinary school, you're not gonna be successful. What makes you a successful chef is your passion and your determination and doing whatever it takes to learn, grow, and get the job done. So there's a lot of things that build up to being a good chef. Good ethics, good work habit, extreme desire for this business, right? I mean, there were many nights that I worked through the night. I worked off the clock. I'd go to work early. I'd volunteer. I'd go volunteer at places. I went to London for 6-7 months. I volunteered for free to work at places. Volunteering is awesome. It's called staging. It's a great way to get world-class experience. You can go somewhere. Now, think of it. You're going to go to school. You're going to pay big bucks for school. And they're going to teach you the basics, this and that. And you're going to pay, if you go to a community college, you're going to pay, what, 10, 15 grand for an education. If you took 5 or 10 grand and said, okay, this is my living expenses for 6 months, let me go somewhere to France, somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Italy, and volunteer for one of the best restaurants out there, you will learn so much. But don't go there as a brand new cook. Get some experience first. Get some experience somewhere. Get as much experience as you can. I was always taught by one of my chef mentors, that every year you should be looking for another job, because if you're a good cook, you can max out your learning. You're going to go to a place, your learning curve is going to go way up, and then all of a sudden it's going to settle out, and not go quite up as much. Well, you want to take that learning curve, spike it. Max out, that quick growth, that learning curve, and then you're on to the next job. Now, employers don't like that. I don't like that. But if you're a good cook, you will be able to get jobs left and right, and you go in, you max it out in a year, and you move on. Now, if you work at a seasonal place, that's great, because you can get 2 jobs in 1 year, a winter season, a summer season. I did that. I went to Colorado, worked the winter season. I went to West Virginia. I worked actually all year in West Virginia, but then I went to Colorado one winter. So I was able to get some of that seasonal experience, which is great. So you can just spike, because whenever you're introduced to something new, that learning curve is so big, it's so drastic. You want to catch that, and after 2 years of working at the same place, you're not learning much more unless a whole brand new chef comes in and they change everything. And you know what? There were jobs that I went to that the place was very prestigious, extremely prestigious. I got there and I'm like, I'm not going to learn what I need to learn here, and I got out of there as quick as I could. One of them was a beautiful hotel upstate here. I got there, I'm like, the chef, I know all this stuff, and the chef's telling me, oh, the biggest thing the sous chef could teach me the first week I was there was to make sure I cover the potatoes with water so they don't oxidize. And he tried to explain this to me, and it's just, he couldn't even explain it right, and I'm like, I'm working for this idiot here. So yeah, so definitely get some experience. Once you get a couple of years in the field, then all of a sudden you can escalate up, and that might be the time to say, okay, now it's time for me to go to Europe, get some experience, volunteer. You can go to New York City and volunteer, LA and volunteer, Miami. You can go to so many great places. Now, of course, you do want to try to get a paid job first. But where I went to work for Pierre Coffin, Michelin 3-star, I was one of the 25 Michelin 3 stars in the world at the time. he had hundreds of applicants every week. So for me to go there and say, hey, will you pay me to come do this, it wasn't in the cards. So I said, I'll volunteer to go do it. And from there I went to volunteer in 2 other places and got some fantastic experience. But again, I did that for 6 months, and my learning curve spiked when I saw that. Even just a few years back, probably 10 years ago, I wanted to learn more on raw food. And I went to Pure Food and Wine in New York City and volunteered for the week. They didn't know who I was. They didn't know I really owned a restaurant. There was just some guy coming in to volunteer to learn. And I knew the premise of raw food. I knew how to do certain things. But when I saw it applied on a commercial level and I saw the experts doing it that have done it day in and day out for several years or have dedicated their career to that, my learning curve spiked in a week, just totally spiked. Because I was at a level where I could just absorb. If I stayed there for 3 months, I wouldn't have. That curve would have dropped. All right. So the next question here. Second, to open a restaurant, what exactly do you have to know in order to be fully aware of what you're doing, and that you don't run into the terrible situations that I've gone through to endure? So, to open a restaurant is a totally different beast than being a chef. Being a chef is one thing. Not many chefs are good restaurateurs, which is why the success rate of restaurants is so big. It's a massive failure rate. Massive failure rate. Because these chefs think, well, I can cook, so if I can cook, I must be able to run a business. It's totally different. You have to be an entrepreneur to be able to open a restaurant, and then a chef second. My first job every day is market my business, work on the nuts and bolts of my business, as opposed to coming in and sitting and chopping carrots and making beef stock or whatever I'm making. Though that's all secondary. First is I have to promote my restaurant and make sure my restaurant, the finances, everything is totally together. Being a restaurateur, being an owner, being the boss, feels like a lot of times like I'm a babysitter to staff. There's a lot of staff. There's issues with staff, and that's a big major downfall. I spend a lot of time managing employees, and at the same time, being a restaurateur, being a boss, I also need to be a coach. So I need to be an employee coach. I need to be able to coach my staff. Just like a coach of a baseball team or a basketball team. I need to be able to make them better people here at work and outside of work. And that takes a lot. So there's a lot that goes in besides just being a good cook and a good chef into opening a restaurant and thinking that you can be successful. I would really work at smaller restaurants and see how it's done and get as many jobs in as far as you can. I've told all of my chefs that have ever worked for me here, if you ever want to open a restaurant and this and that, come in my office, come sit in my office with me, come here at 9 a.m., volunteer a couple hours and watch me how we pay bills, watch how we market, watch how we do things, watch how we do our marketing calendar, watch all this kind of stuff. 0 chefs have taken me up on that. 0 in 15 years have taken me up on that. I'm willing to sit here and mentor you and help you. All you have to do is just show up for a couple hours. I don't care if it's a couple hours a week, a couple hours a day. I don't care if I'm willing to teach you. Okay, I'm willing, because you're not getting paid for it. Doesn't mean you're not going to grow as a cook and as a restaurateur and as an entrepreneur. So you go to school to pay top dollar to get credits, even in a community college, to get the education I was willing to hand off to these people, and for free. But so there's so many bad cooks, bad employees out there because the ethics and the morals just lack. They suck nowadays. People don't have any work ethic. It drives me crazy. All I ever say is, I just needed one more person like me, and I could like rule the world in restaurants. That's how strong I feel about my commitment, my passion, and my ethics on work. Thirdly, any tips you got for young chefs? I admire you and appreciate the videos you put on. You're an inspiration and motivating, so keep up the great work, and I hope you're able to read and respond this. I'm happy to respond to this. These are all great questions, by the way. So tips for young chefs. I think I kind of covered that in the first question. Get experience, get more experience, and keep moving up, keep moving on. Any good cook will easily get a job left and right. This business, we need quality cooks. We need quality kitchen staff. We need quality whatever. One of the biggest advices that I ever got was from Kevin Zraeli, the person who, the wine master who wrote the book Windows in the World, who was a wine captain, wine cellar master at Windows in the World restaurant in the World Trade Center. I met Kevin back in the mid-90s. I was at a restaurant. I was working in a restaurant where he had first worked at and where he had made his mark in the wine industry. And he was there visiting the owner. And he said, Marcus, if you want to make $10,000 more in your salary, and I was, of course, a young chef, I'm 23, 22 years. I wasn't even that. I think I was 19 or something. I was young. He goes, want to make $10,000 more? Learn wine. I said, wow, that's great. Make more money, learn wine. Learning wine is a massive part of this business. Learning beer, learning alcohol is a massive part. I see so many chefs out there that don't appreciate good wine. They don't know good wine. They're totally against alcohol whatsoever. You may not have to drink alcohol, but you have to know that alcohol adds a big revenue to your cash register. It adds a massive amount to the bottom line. The more you know about that, the better off you are, the more viable your business is. And I've totally made more than $10,000 a year because I know that, know a lot about wine. So I wasn't 21 at the time. Like I said, I was like 19 or 20. I wanted to learn wine because Kevin told me, here's the best wine master in the world right now talking to me, telling me, one of the best-selling wine books out there, telling me, learn wine, make $10,000 more. So I was working at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. And of course, not 21, I couldn't legally drink. So what I would do is every night I'd go into the garbage and I'd pull out all the wine bottles and line them up on the table. And the wine captain would come in, Ira would come in, and he would show me how to read the labels of wine. He'd show me how to, the regions, the grapes, good vintages, bad vintages. He would show me all these things on how to read the bottle. The bottles can be very confusing. French wine, Italian wine, American wine. And again, I stayed after work to do that. Well, I wasn't punching on the clock. I stayed after work. I learned how to read wine bottles like crazy. And it was a great experience for me. Fast forward to 2 years, when I was legal to drink, I was working at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs, and the captains would come to me, the wine captain would come to me at night with a glass of wine or a couple tastes of wine, and wouldn't tell me what it was, and they would now teach me how to decipher the wine, the flavors, the body, the characteristics, and help me pick the varietal of the wine. And we do the basic stuff: Cabernet, Sauvignon Blanc, Zinfandel, Chardonnay. So we go through all the basics of everything they had by the wines by the glass, and they would help me teach that. So again, I would have to stay after that. It was on my own time, but that made me a better cook and a better chef. So, and of course, a better wine, one who could appreciate wine and know wine much more. So the biggest thing in this industry is the work can never end. I'm 45 years old. I'm turning 45. I spent 2 weeks ago watching documentaries left and right on spirits, on absinthe, on rum, on bourbon. And I knew a lot of this stuff already. But each hour documentary, I was able to gain 1 or 2 or 3 more new facts. So now when I'm here at my restaurant, I can communicate better to you what bourbon is, what American whiskey is, what cognac is, what grapes go in the cognac versus Armagnac. So there's always possibilities to keep learning and keep learning and keep learning and keep learning. And the day you think that you're done learning is when you're done. And with YouTube and with all the things on the internet now, when I was a young chef, we didn't have the internet. I remember the first time I ever Googled eggplant or searched eggplant. I think it was like an Ask Jeeves, ask.com or something, or it was on one of those old archaic sites, AOL or something. And I was shocked. I was like, wow, look at all these articles on eggplant. I can write a report on this. And now it's just, internet's the way we do business. We don't have internet in our office. We're kind of screwed in our business because you can't get any work done. But back then, there was no internet to do all that. You have the World Wide Web to keep learning. You can learn in person. You can even take a course online if you wanted to. I have a friend of mine who just recently took Thomas Keller's course, his masterclass course online. And he owns several restaurants, but he's learning several things from taking these courses. So you might have to pay for courses. You might have to work for free, but keep working, keep getting the experience, and you have to have the drive and the ethics. And you have to realize that if you open a restaurant and you're not making money, you have to figure out every single way, because you have passion for this business, to keep going and moving forward. You cannot give up. You have to keep moving, keep pushing. Restaurants don't make money. Restaurants do not make money in the first 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And I know that firsthand. I've been here 15 years. There's times of the year where my cash flow sucks. And I'm like, I got to watch every single thing that I buy, because the cash flow isn't good then. And all of a sudden when the season rolls around, it's like, wow, this is great. Cash flow is great. But if you can't manage your money when the cash flow sucks, you're like, well, I have nothing put away and I'm losing money and my business is bleeding left and right, and you're thinking about, man, this isn't for me. I'm a failure at this. You have to understand that this business is all about passion. When you find investors for your business, do never give them a a business plan, because they think don't ever let them think, well, here's the all the money we're going to make. No, no, no. Here's all the pain and suffering and passion that you have to pour into this business to make this business work. Some people are very fortunate and they can make restaurants very profitable from day one, but that's typically not the case. Chef Marcus Guiliano, thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe, and pass it on. And I'm going to do another video right after this of another comment, sort of same things as a young apprentice, asking me some questions. And so stay tuned for that video too. Thanks for watching.